love you.
From an airplane window, watching as the sun comes up again. Well, it's a brand new start.
Well, it's 6 o'clock in the morning. Didn't sleep very well last night. I don't know, I was tired, but I couldn't fall asleep. And then, just a minute ago, this one, right there, she just started howling, freaking out at a deer. And so, I think I'm just gonna get up. We're gonna get ready to go. And we're gonna go over to Scott's Bluff and go for a little run, a little hike.
Some peace to finally come. The sun's coming up. Thought I took all I could take, but then I took some more. I took one on the chin, two on the rhythm, and a few more. Why does everybody have to know everything? Why can't you just tell me what it is you need? When round and round we go, for how long no one knows. Been running through the middle, taking off our clothes. I've been trying to make the most of things.
Make sure you keep your dogs on leash because there's a huge drop off here, a couple hundred feet down. Pretty gnarly drop off right off the side of the trail here. Look at this. Yikes, that is certain death. You're definitely not surviving that fall. Stay attent and alert, unlike me with a camera in my hand. But we're almost to the top. But check out this view. It's pretty hazy today. But that is Scott's Bluff City right there. And I camped about 10 minutes outside of town, up some mountains off this way. Good dog. Hey, Ava. Hi. Good dog.
What's a man Saturday supposed to believe? When round and round we go, how long no one knows. Been running through the middle, finally made it home. I've been trying to make the most of things, still not sure what the hell that means. Been praying for some peace to finally come. The sun's coming up. Oh, oh, the sun's coming up. Oh, oh, the sun's coming up.
You messy face guy. Yeah, you're happy, huh?
Oh, my love,
You smiley boy.
you're such a fragile thing, I know. And with the winter comes the ice, the snow. But I'm here to hold. And oh, my love, don't worry about the cold just yet. The trees haven't started to shed. Just feel the summer sun as it warms our bed. I'm lying, and I'm lying when I say I'm not. afraid, but I'm trying to shelter you from pain.
Well, we decided to go for a hike, and it's like the biggest rainstorm of the year in Wisconsin. Some people we were hiking down and said, oh, it hasn't rained for like a month here. So they were like, we're really excited about this rain. And we're just drenched. My shirt was like plastered to my body. Riley was like, luckily we had a sweatshirt to cover him up with, and a hat to put on. But he's nice and toasty, but he looks like he's cold, but he's nice and toasty. Did you have fun? He was smiling the whole time, so good. And we met some nice people that gave us a ride back to our truck from different trailheads. So we were able to get out of the rain a lot quicker, which is great. Anyway, that was really fun, memorable. Wow, highlight of my trip.
Get him, Ava, get him. Go get Dad, go get him. Go get him. Run. Squeaky.
Okay, if you have made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate all the support. If you've liked this video or if you found anything useful, please give it a like, and if you want to stick around, please subscribe. So I kind of wanted to go through where we went on this trip, all of the places we stopped, and I just kind of wanted to talk about all of those things in case anyone was interested, where we stopped, how much it cost, all of that kind of stuff. So Ava and I, our dog, took off before Kaylee and Riley. They met us in Indiana. So Ava and I had a nice long road trip to get out to Indiana. We wanted to take our dog out there with us so she couldn't fly, and she was able to stay with my wife's family in Indiana while we went up to Michigan for a wedding for a friend. So kind of want to go over some of those stops. I'll try and link some of the locations in Google Maps. I'll try and link it down in the description. So on our way out, Ava and I took I-80 out. So I-80, it can be a little bit boring. I think it's better than driving on I-70. Both were good options to get out to Indiana. So I-80 leaves, it goes right through Salt Lake, so we're able to leave right from here. It made more sense. It was like a half hour faster or something like that. So the first night, we drove all the way to Nebraska, and we stayed, we kind of got off the freeway a little bit, and we stayed in a little campsite at a state park. So the state park we stayed in that night was called Wildcat Hills State Recreation Area. We drove in, we got there after dark. It was like $22 or $23 to stay there. We paid it happily. It's a lot cheaper than a hotel or anything. So we stayed the night there, and we woke up early the next morning, and we drove to Scotts Bluff National Monument. And Scotts Bluff National Monument is, I don't know, kind of off the beaten path, but really pretty. It was kind of smoky the day I was there. It wasn't perfect, but I really loved it. It was a good opportunity to get out of the car, to run with our dog, and kind of see a part of the country that I otherwise wouldn't really see. We went for a hike and a run there at Scotts Bluff, got back in the car, and we just drove straight through to get to Iowa. And in Iowa, we stayed on a lake, and it's called Rock Creek State Park. I kind of just Googled state parks along my trip and figured out around where I wanted to be each night. It was right on a lake. It was a big campground. There were lots of RVs there, but once you got out of the RV area, there was no one. It was like me and one other campsite in 200 campsites. So I felt really lucky to kind of have the whole place to myself. I was able to find a spot right on the waterfront, and I just pulled my trailer in there. We made a little campfire that night, and then got up early the next morning and started driving it. And the next day, we knew we were going to get to Indiana. I wasn't sure where I was going to be picking my wife up, if it would be in Detroit or in Indiana. She was flying standby at the time. So we ended up getting her on a flight to Indiana, to Fort Wayne, which is only 30 minutes from where her parents live. I just drove straight to her parents' house, and we parked the trailer in the back lawn, and we were able to stay there for a couple of days before we went up to Michigan. So at this point, now I have the dog, the wife, the baby. We left the dog with my wife's family and went up to Michigan for a really awesome time. We went to a little town called Saugatuck. It was only probably a 3-hour drive from my wife's parents' house. So the wedding was just south of Saugatuck, so we decided to stay at a little hotel in Saugatuck. I didn't take the trailer up there because we knew we'd need like a shower and whatnot, because we wanted to go to the beach, and then after the beach be able to clean up and go to the wedding. It was a really beautiful wedding. The backyard to the cabin where they had the wedding is on the beach, so they had the ceremony overlooking the water. It was really beautiful. Probably one of the most beautiful weddings I've been to. We went to a little beach in Saugatuck called Douglas Beach Park, and it's a tiny little spot. It's like 300 feet long, the beach is, and just a little like city park. We really loved it. It was a great little spot for our family. We were able to get some food on the way in and really had a great time there. And then we went to the wedding that evening, and the next day we drove back down to Indiana. Spent some time there with her family in Warren, Indiana. We went to the lake there called the Roush Reservoir, or Roush Lake. After that, we were able to go back, sleep one more night in the trailer, and then we got up the next day and we started driving back. And the drive back to me was really great. It was really special. It was a great time to just spend focused time with family and not have to worry about anything else. Really just driving and family. So our first night, we knew we wanted to stay in Wisconsin, and okay, so we went to a state park in Wisconsin on our way to our campsite, and this state park is called Devil's Lake State Park, and man, was it beautiful. It's a park that has some bluffs around it, or a lake that has some bluffs around it. People there were so friendly, so nice. We're really glad we went there. We got caught in a lightning and rainstorm, which kind of was crazy and stressed me out a bit at the time because I was worried for our baby, but he was so happy the whole time, even though we were all just drenched, and it wasn't very cold, which was good. So we were all able to be okay, but a couple people gave me a ride to the truck so I could go get Kaylee from a different trailhead because we cut the hike a little short. Anyway, really friendly people there. I'd love to go back there and explore some more. There's a trail that goes through there that I would love to go run on or hike sometime, the Ice Age Trail. So from there, we went up to our campsite that night, which was Bluff State Park. And Bluff State Park was just kind of a spot on the side of the freeway that we knew we could get to easily, and we wouldn't have a whole lot of problems getting in there. It was a fine campground. There was nothing really special about it. There was a little lake there that you could have swam in, but it was raining. So we really just pulled in, climbed in the camper, and slept. The next day, we drove through Minnesota, and my wife was like dead set on, we got to stop at a lake and go swimming. She's like, I want to swim in a lake in Minnesota. There's a little place called Fairmont, and Fairmont, Minnesota has this park called Gomsrud Park, and there's 5 lakes that all kind of connect to each other right there. And so we went to this park, and we grabbed some food on the way there and just had a little picnic and went swimming, and allowed our dog Ava to swim, and our boy was able to get wet, and it was really a good time. I'm really glad we stopped there, and she kind of pushed the issue with that one. So after there, we decided we were gonna go to the Corn Palace, if anyone's ever been to the Corn Palace in South Dakota, just as somewhere to split up our trip. But when we got to the town, to the turnoff, we decided to just keep going. There was nothing really special about going there. It was just kind of a way to get out and walk, and we were close enough to where we wanted to camp that night, so we just decided to keep going. Where we were going to camp that night was just outside of Badlands National Park, and we found a boondocking area there that was really awesome. It's perfect. There were a ton of campers out there, but everyone was so spread out, it wasn't a big deal. So we were able to camp right on the edge of a nice cliff side that overlooked the Badlands. And we went to bed that night, and it was so peaceful and beautiful and nice. Luckily, we packed everything up before we went to bed. We put our awning away and all that, because we woke up in the middle of the night to the craziest wind. All of a sudden, it was 50, 60 miles an hour. So it was kind of crazy waking up to that. And then in the morning, it was nice to just be able to get out and go because we didn't have to deal with the wind. So from there, we drove to Mount Rushmore and had a great time at Mount Rushmore. Neither of us had ever been, so it was nice to get out and walk around a little bit there. After Mount Rushmore, we went to the Crazy Horse Monument. The Crazy Horse Monument, it felt nice to support the local tribe there, but you can't really do much there. You get to a visitor center, and it's probably a couple miles from the monument. You can see the monument, but it's quite a ways away, and you can just look from afar. There's nowhere really to hike, so it's kind of disappointing. We paid $30 to get in there for the two of us, and then we just kind of spent 10 minutes there and then turned around and left. I really would have loved to have hiked around there and gotten closer to the monument. So hopefully sometime they open that up for everyone. So later that day, after going to the monuments, we drove down to the town of Custer, and we got some snacks in Custer and decided to go for a hike. And we hiked just on the edge of town at a place called Big Rock Park. It was a great opportunity to get out and stretch the legs. We hadn't been in the car a ton that day, but it was still nice to, experience somewhere where we normally wouldn't have gone. I really loved that hike, and it did set up the rest of the day for a good experience. That night we drove all the way down to Cheyenne, and we had dinner in Cheyenne at a little burger spot. And from Cheyenne we drove to a little place called Tie City Campground. It's just off the freeway next to the Abraham Lincoln Memorial Monument. So just a little campground there. I think it was like $12 to camp. And really it was a sweet spot. We saw a couple of moose right next to our camp, and really great trails around there. We were able to hike around a bunch the next morning before getting in the car and driving home. So that was our whole trip. Let me know if you have any questions about places we went, or where we stayed, how much something cost, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Again, thank you so much for watching. It really feels good to have support of the people watching our videos. So if you can like this video, if you can subscribe, all of that helps us out immensely. Thanks so much for watching.